Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and a member show to the GuMPing morning show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como estão? Let's go over to Phil for just a moment.
Friday, it's a Friday feeling. I'm the feeling Friday. Woo, woo.
Woohoo! Thank you, Phil. How are you this morning? Do let me know in the chat. Jackie's in already and excited. Coach Turner, lovely to hear from you and great to hear that you're having a fabulous time in Setúbal. Now, I was complimented on my pronunciation of Setúbal by Filomena. Great session last night with Filomena Pascual, our friend and Portuguese language and culture teacher, of course. And that session will be available on the Expats Portugal YouTube channel on Sunday evening. I'll come back to this, but it's full of lovely slides. Are they cheat sheets? They're prompts for sure. She is a fantastic teacher. Covered the basics last night. Key phrases, tips, and etiquette last night. And about 30 or 40 minutes of basic Portuguese if you need that. And none of these words were new to me, but I felt like I deepened my grasp, my comprehension and application of the language. So great session. Thank you very much, Filomena. That was that was this session last night. Etiquette, greetings, gratitude, apologies, and more. Yes, and how to say sorry in the most British of ways on the session last night. Great job, and we'll see you tomorrow, Filomena. We will be in Batalha tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Cultural tour, meetup, and buffet dinner tomorrow evening in Batalha. A sleepover as well. Quite a few people heading to Batalha tomorrow, so we'll have a look at the weather with that in mind as well today. Watch up to yourself this weekend. It's Friday. It's Friday the 7th of February. A chance to catch up on some lovely correspondence, pictures and videos that I've been receiving on 913-590-303. News and weather then in the Bom Dia Daily section. In the first part, the first 20 minutes or so, although we will be weaving in and out of good news about Portugal and talking about the Iberian miracle that has amazed Europe, as well as being a top draw country. See what I did there when it comes to murals. Apparently, on the former, we've got the Iberian miracle that's amazing Europe at the moment. Spain and Portugal become the engine of the Eurozone economy. A Spanish newspaper, El Economista, has described the Iberian miracle, which has saved Europe from recession so far. Between them, Spain and Portugal account for just 13% of the Eurozone's GDP. But if the two nations were excluded from last quarter's analysis, the Eurozone's growth would have already dipped into negative territory. So the Iberian Peninsula staving off recession here in the Eurozone. So more about that when Ana Caramujo joins me at 8:20. We'll be hanging out and chatting, finding out what she's been up to. I know Jackie is keen to be in the company of Ana a little bit later on. Bom Dia Gumpers, always a great show when our very own beautiful savvy Cat Ana is in the house. And yes, back to Setúbal. Bom dia todos e feliz sexta. Loving our time in Setúbal. Have you found your place here? Your favorite place here, Coach Turner? Even had my feet in the sea yesterday on the beautiful Praia do Creiro after a wonderful lunch at O Farol in Portinho de Arrábida. Recommended there. Okay. Bom dia, Carl. Big hugs. Igualmente. Right back at you there. Abraços, beijinhos. Bom dia, Portugal from João Ernesto de Norte. Lovely pictures from João Ernesto as well. I'm going to knit those together, João Ernesto, but I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a taste of your amazing visit to the seaside in the last couple of days. I'm enjoying my breakfast so much, I'm forced to ask, can I get Krispy Kreme donuts in Portugal? Well, it is my sad duty to report that, yes, you can. In certain, I think it's Continent where I've seen the box of Krispy Kreme donuts. And then, and again now, I'm asking myself, and I'm imploring you, Jackie, to embrace the Bolo de Belém and cast the Krispy Kreme aside. I've never understood the appeal of those. They look like they were made 3 weeks ago every time I see them, and they're only being kept fresh by that crust of icing. unless I'm thinking of a different product. They are the ones, aren't they? You get a sort of variety pack with various icings, quite a tough, hard icing. You can eat, we've got Atelier de Dose here, where you can eat a bolo de Berlin, which is a proper donut, like a British donut, not an American donut. No offense. But when you bite in, it's like biting into a pillow of beautiful deep fried dough and sugar. Oh, stop. Why am I doing this to myself? But not only that, you're going through that texture, and then your taste buds are treated to a squirt of custard cream inside. Or if you go up to Atelier de Dos, you can have any number of fillings. The best in the country, I would say. I'm very lucky to live only a 10 or 15-minute drive, depending on how hungry I am, up there at Atelier de Dos. If you come to this part of the country, I'm going to take you up there, and we can forget about this Krispy Kreme mass manufactured nonsense, Jackie. There you go. You weren't expecting that, were you? No offense, any Krispy Kreme fans, but really, when you've got Borscht de Berlin, I think you can dispatch the Krispy Kreme confection. Our Anna is amazing. I learn something every time she's on the show, and her videos excellent. She's keen to be here, and you know we have two sections of the show now for guests. 8:20, in case you hadn't noticed, 8:20 and 8:40. And I said to Anna, which do you want, 8:20 or 8? She's like, what do you mean? What do I want? I want all of it. So yes, she's here. We'll chat as we make our way towards a bon fin de semana, putting the sex into sexta-feira. Doing my best anyway. Carl, when I come there and try my Victoria sponge, okay, I also do. Okay, the possibilities for wordplay, I think, with Jackie's confections and the herbal components of said confectionery are endless. Can we help you with some of the branding of those? A herbal Victoria sponge. What are we thinking? We are amused. Was it Queen Victoria said we are not amused? We are. Whatever's in there, we are amused. Right. Thank you for being here this morning, Jackie. Already putting a smile on our faces. Right. First news story. And I'm aware, actually, news, weather, language, culture. We've been doing pretty well on that. And we've got Coach Turner keeping things going on the well-being side. But I think we're a bit underrepresented in the well-being section on the Bon Dia Daily. So come on, all you therapists, practitioners, health people, holistic health people, make my acquaintance. Let's get together and share some news for the Gumpers here because we need things to balance out the news and the weather at the moment, by the way, with some well-being news. Things you can take responsibility for in your life, for your health, for your well-being, for your mental health, those sorts of things. So if you've got anything in that department and you feel like I haven't been in touch with you about that, that reminds me of Bon Dia Daily deal. In the wellbeing department, we've got the wonderful Vina, who's just come to San Martino de Porto. She'll be giving a Zumba demonstration on the beach on the Sunday, 11 o'clock on the beach. I think she wants you to wear either pink or orange. I know what I'm going to go for. I must get my lycra dry cleaned. Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, she's going to be doing a Zumba demo on the village green here. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think some of us will be perhaps a little fuzzy-headed after the party on the Saturday evening. And it's the Caldas de Renha Beer Festival. So after Zumba, we might head back into Caldas for a couple of real ales. It's going to be a great weekend. But she's offering, if you live in San Martino de Porto or the Silver Coast, and you want to come over to one of Vina's Zumba classes, she gives you the first session free. So how's about that for a daily deal then? Here, a Bon Dia Daily deal here on Good Morning Portugal. I can put you directly in touch with Avina if you'd like to try out her Zumba. I will be giving her Zumba a go. I don't even know what it is. Of all the dance classes in Portugal, I've always favored the Boom Boom Brazil. I've not been brave enough to go to one of those classes, but we have Zumba. I don't think she does the Boom Boom. I think she does the Zumba. I gave a herbal brownie to a non-smoker, says Jackie. He fell asleep on a bench and... All right, I'm not interested anymore. Is this what happens? He fell asleep on a bench and peed himself, then came back the day after. So, Oliver, can I have some more, please? and a dry cleaning bill. Bon dia. We cannot possibly approve of such debauched behavior. We need a health angle on that. He was very relaxed, yeah? Bon dia from a rainy Miranda de Corvo. Morning to you, Mike and Karen over there. Rainy. That's not what I want to hear. I'm going further into the interior and central tomorrow. I think the rain's going to hold off. Although actually, I remember now, it was peeing down in the night. Quite a lot of that this morning. Oh, you've made me. Excuse me a minute. Sorry, you made me giggle, made my nose run and all sorts here, Jackie. Stop it. Right. Okay. Where were we? Oh, we were going to go. We were going to go and have a look at a mural. I think now we've given you a Bon Dia Daily deal, and we're looking at the news now. We will come back to the weather. So yeah, and what are you up to this weekend? 913-590-303. We'll come back to the Iberian Miracle, of course, as well. That's amazing Europe currently. Diana reminded me about this on the Expats Portugal webinar last night. It's very good, actually. Thursday evening, it's a lot of fun with the webinar and then the town hall session. And the dream team were in fine shape. Apart from Nuno Mensch from Winsurance, he had a tooth out yesterday. And he's such a legend. He's such a pro. He was determined to be there, at least for the first 10 minutes. And so he was. And he could see he was like, oh, good evening. Oh, ouch, ouch. And he did an extraction that afternoon, but what a legend. He was still there. And 3 of his team with a bit of an update and taking questions on insurance. So maybe we'll see Nuno, as well as Gilda, Daniel, and Sarah in Battaglia this weekend. I wonder if Nuno's going to be up to that. Right. Okay, let me just bring onto the screen this. Top draw. See what I did there? Top draw, mural artist, Turo Rano by Nuno Aparicio Miles. That's why he calls himself Miles, I think, because he's difficultly named murals and his birth name. Nuno's fairly straightforward, but Aparicio. He's known. His street name is Miles, and he's been elected the best in the world. How about that? Portugal, you rock, quite frankly. So we're going to Beira Alta TV. I think we're going interior and north here to the mural. Look at the size of it. And it's quite the trompe l'oeil, I think, as well. Don't you think? There. And they've given it the tag of bull painting. Come on, you can do better than that, programmers. The mural Turo Rano by the artist from Guarda. Okay, it's from Guarda, Nuno Aparicio. And it's quite Italian sounding, that, isn't it? Known by his artistic name, Miles. He's won it by Miles as well. Look at it. Look at the quality of that. Won the prestigious international competition for Best Mural in the World 2024, promoted by the Street Art Cities platform. The work, which occupies one of the walls of the old primary school in Alfaiate, in the municipality of Sabugal, stood out among 50 competing murals from various countries. And I don't think it was the only Portuguese entry, and neither the only Portuguese prize winner as well. It stood out among the 50 competing murals from various countries. The Turo Rano captured the attention of the public and the jury for its visual impact and symbolism, becoming an artistic landmark for the region. Look at it. Fabulous, fabulous work there. The Street Art Cities platform, known for mapping and promoting urban art around the world, highlighted the cultural and technical richness of the winning work. Absolutely right. Technically brilliant, culturally appropriate. He was the only Portuguese representative in the competition, contradicting what I thought then. I thought there were quite a few Portuguese entries in there, and managed to reach the top with a painting that celebrates the strength and border identity. So there you go, characteristic of the border between Portugal and Spain. That picture right there. The mural can be seen live in Alfaiate and is already considered a must-see for urban art lovers and curious people who want to see one of the best creations of its kind on the global scene. Well done, Miles. Proper name, Nuno Aparicio, aka Miles then. And your wonderful winning work there, Turo Rano. Excellent. Good work, sir. Very good. So let's go. Let's have a look at the weather, shall we? Before we do, though, let's say good morning to Mel. How are you? And Aviva. See you soon, Aviva. Bon fin semana. I'm waiting for the snow. Are you serious? That's meant to fall today. It's still chilly, is it, in the UK? I have felt so cold just recently here in Portugal, which is not what I moved here for. But the house has cooled down to terminal concrete whatever, humidity and coldness. It really is a problem with the concrete building, isn't it? Because as it cools down and gets a bit damp, it's not a material that lends itself well to weathering the winter, really, is it? I mean, it's a good shelter, but in terms of its thermal properties, once it gets cold, it is so much better to go out or just heat the inside of it relentlessly whilst the outside is being cooled and dampened by the conditions outside. Come on, springtime, where are you? Show your face. Mel, good morning to you. Bon dia as well. Excellent. Oh, I see. Obi. You're known as Obi. That's good, isn't it? Obi-Wan. One bag, that stands for, and a passport. Excellent. Right. Oh, and I must say, I want to convey my congratulations. Deagle and Kathy McKillen, happy anniversary. Married 32 years ago yesterday, that was. So I'm a bit late, a day late, but sending love, hugs, beijinhos and abrazos to you. Congratulations on 32 years of marriage. Lots of love to you both. Fabulous picture right there as well. And yes, please remind me of any birthdays, any GuMPing birthdays that we've had or are coming up. Do give me a nod on that. It's always lovely to wish people a happy birthday, a happy anniversary, and other notable life milestones. Do let me know. Quite a lot of lovely snippets actually this morning to share with you in anticipation of Ana Caramujo, the savvy cat, joining us. So yeah, lots of lovely things to be able to share with you about Portugal. I was going to do the weather, but I'll do that when Savvy Cat's here, because otherwise I shall forget about Coach Turner's wonderful contributions on 913-590-303 and John's visit to the seaside. Oh, and we had Veronica sending me this yesterday. I meant to play this yesterday morning. Let's do it now.
Good morning from Portugal. And there is Spain across the way. This is the river and the ocean between Spain and Portugal. There's this little church I love to look at. He's so sweet. A little boat on the river. Must have overnighted there. And the birds are out. A couple people going to work at 7:30 in the morning. And our beautiful marina. And this is where the river meets the ocean. Gorgeous. There's the ocean. And here's the ferry boat getting ready to go to Spain. For a couple euros, you get on that ferry boat and he takes you across the river. Diamante's that big city over there. You know, really big. It's a small little town. There's Diamante. And then the bridge between Spain and Portugal are right there. Have a happy day.
Thank you very much for that, Veronica. Very thoughtful of you to send us that lovely start to the day. And just as we've looked at the border in the north there with the mural, there it is in the south, in the Algarve, where Portugal and Spain meet, symbolised perhaps by a ferry boat. How lovely. Thanks, Veronica. Much appreciated. Have a lovely weekend. Bon fin de semana to you. We're all over the country. It's fantastic. That's the south. Let's go up to the north, where this is going to be a little bit confusing because I've got 4 videos featuring the sea here. Could be Setúbal. It could be up in the north with. I'm guessing this might be John's right here. Okay, so let's have a look.
So now this is part 2 or the main course of our not just lunchtime, but our little adventure. So we're going to be eating right here. Anyway, restaurant right on the shore, location. Oh, and there's also this cool float. So, come check it out if you haven't been up north.
And we haven't figured out yet if that's still technically the green coast or not. We've got the silver coast, and we do have a green coast here. I'm not sure exactly what it covers here in Portugal, but whatever it's called, it's beautiful, is it not? And from that series of pictures, which I'll stitch together, John, because thank you very much for doing that. We have this lovely shot here, which is worthy of a tourist. That's a tourist brochure picture, isn't it? That's like a professional shot to lure you to that destination. Look at that, the sun on the water, those prawns. I've started talking about bolos de Belém this morning, which made me feel hungry, and now I'm looking at garlic prawns. And I quite frankly, I wish I hadn't now, because I feel really hungry now. Is that a mojito in that glass there? What a beautiful picture. That's John's lunch there. Not a tourism board picture, although it could be. Right, and I think we will return in our chat with Anna this morning. We will return to Setúbal as well, where we've had the coach having a fantastic time, and lots of other little snippets as well. So it's officially the Good Morning Portugal section of the show. Keep in touch on 913-590-303, and let's welcome her to join us on the show this morning, Ana Caramujo. Savvy Cat, everybody. There she is. Olá, bom dia. Tudo bem?
Bom dia, Carl. Very, very early morning.
Yes. How is that for you? Are you more of a night owl?
I'm a night owl, so I do have to set multiple alarms to be here this time.
Seriously, how many did you set?
3.
Did you really?
I usually get up before my alarm, so that's a lot for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for that noble effort, quite frankly. Very good of you to be here. We can have a chat, and then we can get into our Bon Fin Semana, can't we, this weekend? So how have you been? What have you been up to?
Oh, well, I've been up to quite a lot. Actually, the topic you picked for today, I recorded and will be posting a video today about the 25 economy in Portugal, the predictions and
Excellent.
the lifestyle and costs and so on. So I did go over what you mentioned.
Oh, excellent.
So it ended up being quite aligned.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Okay, so well, let's have a chat about that. But actually, before we do, let's just find out what's going on at Savvy Cat HQ. All well over there. I'm guessing you're noticing the Trump effect, and you're getting inquiries.
What I'm noticing is a lot of rentals. I think in February we've pretty much had a new rental client every day so far.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
And what are you finding? I mean, I hear, on the grapevine, oh, you can't get anywhere. It's really difficult. And then I do see something. I wonder if I've I cut and pasted it across. I haven't, but I saw from a friend in Central, Mario. He put something online. It was a T2 in Lausanne for €550, which I thought was still reasonable. If you're prepared to go off the beaten track, and go to some of the places that are not spoken about so much in Portugal, you still can get good value like that, right? But you have to do the hard work, I think, to find them.
Yes, it's not exactly the most common places. They will not be extremely accessible places or places with a lot of amenities in commerce. They will be, like you say, off the beaten track.
Yes.
But regarding the popular places, the capital, it's going for 19.5 euros per square meter on rent. So that's almost 2,400 square meters. And Porto is a bit better with 16.5. So you can already see a drastic difference there. But that's the most expensive towns. Then the Algarve will probably be around 15, 16 too in most of the places. But the rest of it, it's going to be under that. I think Braga is at 9.5 and Castelo Branco is like at 7. So the location does make a lot of difference.
Of course, and these, the famous places, if you like, I suppose, are getting cooked at the moment, aren't they? With interest over the last few years, and yes, you can go off piste. And you make a really good point actually about accessibility. To be in somewhere like Lausanne, although there is a twist in the tail with Lausanne, isn't there? And those towns are going out from Coimbra, but generally speaking, you're going to need a car or be happy in the town that you live in. And sort of set your sights on a small town life, in a perfectly lovely town, but it's not going to be Porto, is it? It's not going to be Lisbon. It's not going to be the cosmopolitan excitement that
Yes,
is
it's
sold
not
around.
going to be particularly convenient. Even like you said, without a car, it's going to be a bit harder for doing even groceries. You will have the mini markets local, but if you want to go to a bigger supermarket, it may not be that accessible by walking, and often those locations don't even have Uber. So you will either take taxi or public transportation, and like I said, it does have limitations.
Yeah, the notable exception there with Lausanne is that new tram line. I did ask Philomena about it last night, and she laughed because they're still testing it, but it is on its way.
It's going to take a while. I think it started being built like, I don't know if it was last year, if it was 2 years ago, but everything that is public works in Portugal takes it goes very calmly, very slowly.
Yeah, tranquilo, serenity and calma. Aki. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at this then. The Iberian miracle amazes Europe. It's funny because it's as if nobody was expecting this, and it's not just Portugal, but Portugal and Spain are responsible for holding the whole Eurozone above the water, basically, by the sound of it. So feel free to chip in at any moment with your views on this. Sorry, go on.
I do find that article to be a very, how do I put it?
Go on. However you want to. Pau, queijo, I think.
Yeah, I really am missing the world right now, but basically very narrow visions, because come on, yeah, sure, Portugal and Spain demonstrated the growth bigger than most of the other European cities,
Yes.
the countries. However, the growth in Portugal is actually about the same or slightly less than last year. And 2 years ago, it was even bigger. So they are putting it as a huge surprise when it really isn't.
What? Because we have known about it. Is the surprise not that it's been? We have been. I'm going to use the collective we, but we've been the savior of the Eurozone. Isn't that the big news here? That, you know, the reputation, I suppose, for Southern Europe. You know, the Eurozone looks down on the Southern European countries, doesn't it? It's France and Germany, and formerly the UK, that were the powerhouses of the EU. And not much was expected of the Southern European countries. And now look, Germany is on its backside. UK has left the EU, and here we are on the Iberian Peninsula driving the economic engine. It would appear. Is that not the angle here?
Yes, it is. I'm always pretty curious about how these measurements are made, because, for example, public debt actually went up this year. So I am always pretty curious. It's supposedly about the increase on expenses by private consumers and exports, which I think would be truthful, and also the growth of tourism and improvement of infrastructures in Portugal is definitely a good factor here. Yes. I do stand by what we already know, that is, Portugal is a pretty good place to live. I do kind of worry about the economy. In a way, it's good that the economy keeps going up. The government is also making somewhat of an effort to raise the minimum wage through the past 5 years or so. It has been raising about 5% every year. I think now this year it's going to be 860, which is a really good improvement, because like I said 5 years ago, that will be on my video, the right numbers, but it was under it was like 600 and something. Yes. So it's the minimum wage is still drastically low compared to other countries. And another thing that actually made a lot of rounds on the Portuguese news was the fact that Portugal is quite lowly rated on the how many salaries it takes to buy a house. And it's like 230 something. And that's a lot.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's madness.
It's actually, I did go and see the overall numbers throughout the world, and that's kind of an average number, to be honest. It's not that high, but I wouldn't find it positive at all.
It's depressing, isn't it? I mean, and that's the problem with these economic reports is what we need to get a sense of improvement is that affects people. Otherwise, it's gaslighting, isn't it? So, people are how many salaries do I need to buy a house? Oh, 10 million now at the moment. And then you're being told when you turn the telly on that things are improving. Now, if the improvement's not there for everyday people in their minimum wage and how easy or not it is to find a house, they're not going to believe this sort of thing, are they? So I do accept that it's quite conceptual and of a different sort of order than what people might actually want, and not have all this sort of gaslighting economics. Things are definitely getting better for you. Oh, really? It doesn't feel like it when you walk into the supermarket. But anyway, let's see what they've got to say here. Economists warn it's not enough on its own to avoid recession. That's the worrying little sting in the tail here. Spanish newspaper El Economista has described the Iberian miracle which has saved Europe from recession so far. Somewhat guarded there. With the economies of France and Germany in the doldrums, Spain and Portugal were responsible for 50% of the Eurozone's growth in the last quarter. It's a surprise that is intriguing economists. You can imagine them sitting around scratching their beards, can't you? But according to investment bank JP Morgan, the dynamic is not sustainable unless Germany and France start recovering and Europe is heading for a recession. If not, probably never before has the Iberian Peninsula been so important in keeping the euro economy afloat, Venture reports. That's the surprising thing, isn't it? And somewhat patronizing as well, perhaps. Between them, Spain and Portugal account for just 13% of the Eurozone's GDP. But if the two nations were excluded from the last quarter's analysis, the Eurozone's growth would have already dipped into negative territory. In fact, annual growth would have halved, says El Economista. Just a couple more, just a few more stats, and then let's see what Anna has to think about this, or say about it. Spain on its own accounted for a third of all Eurozone growth in the last quarter, with Portugal bringing up the rear. Spain grew by 0.8% and Portugal by 1.5%. You mentioned that there, Anna. Year on year, Spain grew by 3.5%, Portugal by 2.7%. On an annual basis, the boost is even clearer. The Eurozone grew by 0.9% of that. 0.9%. Spain and Portugal account for 0.43 percentage points. Spain contributed 0.3815 and Portugal 0.0459 points. We're going into the long grass there, are we not? But a couple of things on that. Clearly, as you said, quality, whatever is happening in the EU, and we might expect some challenges, mightn't we? There's talk of recession there. We could take refuge, I suppose. We are the safe haven, are we not? Given where Portugal tends to sit in the sort of slipstream of these things. Would you agree on that analysis?
Yes,
of all the places it could be a lot worse.
I think that the war in Ukraine and Russia will also affect this, because, like you say, the Peninsula Iberia ends up being a very safe location from that perspective, geographically speaking.
Yes.
And the biggest risk in Portugal would be probably the maritime territory. But I do think it's very unlikely that Portugal would be attacked, because the only way that they could attack it would be by long-range attacks, but they then couldn't claim it because they would have to, go through all the other countries to get here.
Yes, that's pretty chilling proposition there. That's never occurred to me, quite frankly. But yeah,
overall, I do think that Portugal does become attractive in that sense, with the being a fairly safe location, and that the war did affect the economies that were closer to it, because people start to worry for their safety, and rightly so.
Well, fascinating. I think it's more strategically important, isn't it, on the Atlantic Riviera? Although we don't want to be making too much noise about that to Donald Trump at the moment. So let's just keep our heads down and enjoy the Portuguese lifestyle that we are becoming accustomed to here, and take some comfort in these figures. The other part of this, and what's being sort of made, the case is being made for and about, is the partnership between Spain and Portugal. Is that with your understanding of this? I don't know how much you're not an economist, are you? I'm guessing, right? But as a sort of a trading duo or trading twins, is that something you've grown up with as a Portuguese person? That Spain and Portugal together are a bit.
We have the whole neighbor love-hate relationship, you know.
Right.
It's like Portuguese people will complain about a lot of things about Spanish people, but then we also enjoy a lot of advantage. One of the things I think that comes up the most is the discontent around the gasoline and diesel prices that are a lot cheaper in Spain.
Yeah.
Overall, I would say that the Spanish economy is healthier from an internal perspective. The minimum wage in Spain is drastically higher than in Portugal. I don't know the exact values, but it's something like at least 30-40% difference.
Is it?
Yes, at least.
Wow.
So I would say that in a way, Spanish is a bit better managed. They are known to be very hard on international taxes. And I do have a Catalonian brother that, he inherited things in Portugal just as I did. And it's a pain for him every time because the international taxes in Spain are really a pain.
Yes.
So that's also something I tend to warn clients that are people that are on the edge about the Portugal or Spain. Do consult with a tax advisor because Spain can be really a headache when it comes to international taxes, and they are known to be high. I honestly don't think that's a bad thing because it does protect the local economy in a way. But it's not very good for expats.
No, as we're finding, and hopefully Portugal won't be copying Spain's 100% tax on foreign purchases. Hopefully
has that been approved? I don't think
it's been written about as though it has been here in Portugal, and it hasn't been approved.
No, I don't even know. Like I said last time, I don't even know or think it will actually get approved, but we will see.
Yeah, we will see. But you don't think then that there will be like the Iberian partnership as a mini trading bloc, because there's a lot of trade goes on between the two countries, and I've heard this before. There is a friendly sort of rivalry, isn't there, and a historical rivalry between the two countries. But Portugal and Spain get on so much better than people would imagine, and it's quite a quiet relationship. And here it is saving the Eurozone's butt at the moment. But you don't think there's any sense of a proactive
I don't think that the governments are proactively collaborating between the two in order to reach these results. I think they're just kind of working towards that goal in that own way, and it just works out to be seen as a partnership, but I don't think it's an actual partnership.
I think you're right.
And there's also a lot of products that are produced in both Portugal and Spain that we are kind of competing markets in that way, especially, agricultural, like fruits and vegetables and so on.
Yes.
And Portuguese people always like to say that ours are better. And I would say that a lot of them are.
I agree. Right. Yeah, they're fascinating. I was just, in my mind, I'm thinking you had the Irish, the Celtic tiger economy, and how it might be if Portugal and Spain work more closely together. They probably wouldn't be a tiger. They might be like the Iberian tortoise. The slow and steady wins the race kind of economics, perhaps, which is what's being shown by this article at the moment. Well, we can move on from that. There are lots of other things to celebrate and share with you.
Minimum wage. Sorry,
that is much more indeed, as Mel's found out there. Morning to you, T-Duck. Busy day. Bon Dia ALEGRIA, Gumpers. And Antonio Barbosa also with us. Bon dia. Morning greetings from an extremely moist Sexta-feira up there. Some days you just got to create your own sunshine. That's a good sentiment. Wishing you all a happy Friday and a wonderful weekend. A bit of Tony time there for you. Bom semana from the man in the Minho. And Pete's here, 26% more than Portugal, but taxes are a lot higher. Once you're taxed twice when buying and selling property, Spain is also the most corrupt country in Europe, aside from Albania, and the house prices are mad. That's interesting.
I'm surprised about the corruption. I would say that probably is worse in Portugal, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Well, both
I
of
think
you.
the Spanish
both-
probably just are louder about it and actually get revolted about it, while Portuguese
I
kind
see
of
what
just
you did
lay it
there.
out and it's like, oh, it is what it is.
I see what you did there, Anna. That was a kind of put down, a classic Portuguese put down of the Spanish. Well, our corruption is just as good. They're just noisy about it. That is a classic Iberian exchange right there. Okay, and both of you can own your comments. Any complaints or legal action about those corruption allegations to be sent directly to those who uttered them this morning, Peter and Anna. I think I know the guy who may be able to advise on the difference between tax between Spain and Portugal. Michael Heron, if only he had a channel. Well, it's coming. Good morning, Spain is on its way, by the way, of course, in case you hadn't heard. My mum said Spain is grubby and the men are slimy, so I won't be visiting. Listening to her mum's advice. Dear, oh dear, there's some very broad stereotyping going on this morning. Don't confuse corruption with bureaucracy. Yes, and corruption makes doing business so well. It does if you're on the right side of it and you're sufficiently funded to do so with the right connections there. Right, okay, I've got some lovely tidbits to share with you, and we're going to visit Setúbal as well, which I think is often on your radar, isn't it? People interested, and I'm sure you chat.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the locations. Actually, one of the videos I'm planning next, which is probably going to release in 3 or 4 weeks, is going to be the most affordable prices in the Lisbon area. We are still studying to see which ones make it to the cut, but
Yes.
maybe Setúbal will be there. I wouldn't be too surprised, but there was definitely a big increase in the last few years when it comes to costs. So let's see.
Well, let's see if we can put the prices up now by sharing some really nice video about the place. Coach Turner's there, and this is what you get on arrival when you go for the wine tasting in Palmela. Yes, please. Okay, that looks good. Maybe not right now, but nice one, Coach. And a couple of video clips here as well. Let's have a look. I think this was the view from the apartment. This is what you can enjoy in Setúbal. I just want to
somewhere in my video folder.
It was so peaceful, wasn't it? So peaceful looking out across the water there. And then a little visit to the seaside, which I think Coach was really impressed by.
Go through the hills in order to go there because they are hidden behind the mountain kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in the summer, sometimes they close the accesses and you can only go by public transports.
Really? The beautiful beach at Portinho. It was almost tropical.
Because everyone kind of just parks in the way. So that's why they do that.
Okay. Those were the amazing views from Penella Castle. Okay, and I think we've got possibly another video here. How are Fabrizio and Ian? I wonder, Coach. Did you give them my love and a big hug from me as well? We might come back to another video, but again, I need to stitch these together to help people understand what they're dealing with in that area. The Arabana National Park, Palmela. It's all very lovely around there, and I think it should make your cut, as you say, on there. It's a fabulous place, Anna.
It is.
A little bit industrial as well. I mean, that's not the whole picture, is it? If you go into
I think it's really nice because it's close to Lisbon and it has this beautiful nature area of Serra da Rábida right next to it. And the city still has room for growth, and definitely the prices have already risen drastically over the past 4 or 5 years, but it's still definitely not nearly as bad as Lisbon.
Yeah, quite the vibe there. You don't have, you're not living in it as a suburb of Lisbon, are you? You can get on the train and go to Lisbon, but you've got everything you need, I think, within the town itself. It's a significant settlement in its own right. Right, here's a few other snippets that I thought were rather nice. I don't know if you've ever been here, Anna. The smallest international bridge in the world is in the municipality of Aranjuez. And this is the lovely lady, Alentejo, _ 1970, my beautiful country on X. It is approximately 6 meters long and 2 meters wide. The Marco Bridge is a corner, stone benches nearby, and the calm sound of a river. It connects the Portuguese Marco, village of Marco, to the Spanish El Marco. That's another
very
classic.
typical. But yeah, I actually haven't been there. It's got
That's
sounds
great.
fun.
I can see you making a video there. The smallest international bridge in the world, right there, 6 meters long and 2 meters wide. And there's no song and dance about it. It's just nice and easy, isn't it? Step across from Portugal into Spain. We've been talking a lot about borders today. Also saw this. Were you aware of this? The longest train trip in the world stretches 18,755 kilometers from Portugal to Singapore. I could go see my sister, passing through 13 countries over 21 days. And for a mere $1,350, you can experience stunning scenery. You would do, wouldn't you, on a journey like that? Meals, drinks, and lodging on this unforgettable journey. Were you aware of that?
I was aware that the trip itself, I didn't know the cost or so actually I thought it would be more expensive. So
Me
I'm
too. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? And what a journey that would be. 13 countries,
21 days.
21 days. I don't know if anyone's contemplated
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if I would actually like to spend 21 days in a train though, but yeah.
Yeah, you got to love trains. And I do love trains from being a train spotter as a boy. I wouldn't mind that too much. And look, sleeper trains here in Europe, the new sleeper train links 7 European cities in just 21 hours. I don't know much more about this. It just came across my social media sphere. Cheapest ticket on this is £99. I'm guessing this is connected to the Eurotunnel as well, so you can get across from the UK. A European sleeper, and you can go to 7 cities in just 21 hours. Have you done much on this, on the rail connections and rail travel in Portugal? Are you a fan?
I have not. That actually may be an interesting idea.
You're very welcome. I'll meet you at certain parts of it if you like. But I love train travel. And I think to make that easier and more understandable for people would be quite a useful video, I think, as well. So there you go. Cat Ana is making a note of that. Let's go back to a few more of your comments. We've got a little cycle ride to come from Andy when we complete and conclude the show today. But we want to find out what's going on in the world of Savvy Cat. Okay, we've got Pete. With exactly each province also he's still banging on about Spain here. For example, a friend of mine pays over 250,000 euros in bribes every 5 years for his rent. What? Allegedly. It's here already. It is Good Morning Spain. Looking forward to that, aren't we? And working with Michael. We'll chat with him on Monday evening, actually. It's our live streaming and podcasting club, where I'm sure Michael will be checking in and talking about the development there. Eva in Spain is less, and it's not far when you need to make a major purpose. Winking emoji there. If you need to pop up your gas or top up your gas and petrol, pop to Costco.
That's actually a very much a thing in the towns that are close to Spain. It's very, very common for people just go across the border to make a supermarket, and especially, like I said, diesel and gasoline filling. But
it shouldn't be the case, should it? If you live in the Eurozone, shouldn't there be a sort of that be balanced?
On the products itself, I think it's just different products. Although the IVA is lower, it's just 2%. So here it's 23, and in Spain is 21. So it's not that significant.
Yeah.
For the consumer, it's not that significant. For companies, it would be very significant.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the diesel and gasoline, it's actually about the state taxes that they put on top that are drastically different in Portugal and Spain.
Right, Mel's having a good look at this morning. Simply Live. Electricity also cheaper and not owned by the Chinese in Spain. Spain is lovely and people are very friendly. Your mum might want you may want to sort of reconsider her opinions about Spanish and Spanish men particularly. Only slimy in some of the high expat zones. What I found, but I only lived along the southern coast, where, like in Portugal, it's not real Spain or real Portugal, is it?
I would say that Spain is louder in a way. They have more of an extrovert way of socializing, and they get very excited about things. And you can always tell when there's a Spanish group in a restaurant and so on. They make themselves heard. I would think they can be kind of comparable to Americans. I mean, a lot of Europeans complain about Americans being that way too.
Yes.
But I think it's not an exclusive thing. I think Spanish people are fairly similar.
I think you're right, and you can always tell, can't you, when a Spanish are in town? I can in San Martin de Porto. Not complaining about it, but it's just different. But I only lived along the southern coast, says Mel, not mid or north, so I can't comment. But do you know, having personal experience doesn't stop people commenting here, Mel. Go ahead. My parents looked into that train trip. Very complicated, they said. Okay, so it's more of a sort of PR and a journalistic excitement there, possibly. It's what my mum said, but I love Portugal so much more once I'm there. I will not be leaving. I will take my whole life to see all on offer there in Portugal. She's falling in love with Portugal already. Not sure the kiosk in Lisboa Orient Station will have an option for a ticket to Singapore. I don't think that's why it's called Orient Station, although the name seems to suggest otherwise. Joanna, so very good. Right, Anna, what else do you want to tell us? What's going on at SavvyCat HQ? Have you got any more webinars coming up? And how?
I actually want to book a tax webinar, but I'm kind of traumatized because the last one that I did actually with Sarah from Spartan FX, we had these very annoying trolls that apparently have a way of interfering with the presentation.
Seriously?
So, and because we don't know who the trolls are, this is actually quite hard to fix. And I'm kind of trying to figure how to go around this, and that's why I haven't booked one yet. But the next one I want to do is exactly, I want to do one about the international tax situation with the collaborator that we often recommend our clients to, which is Ricard, actually. I'm translating his name. He's called Ricard. But yeah, I'm still not over the whole troll situation and them being able to interfere with the presentation because it's really very disrupting.
Hold on a minute. You were doing Zoom. You were doing Zoom, were you? And they were actually interfering.
Yeah, they basically could turn the presentation screen black. And then you can just not do anything. And then you don't know who is doing that. And they actually said then another guy that was part of the scam came in and said he was from Zoom support and is going to help, which I did find odd. But, at that point, you're like, anything goes.
Yeah, right.
And then they just kicked everyone out of the presentation.
Unbelievable.
So, I really don't understand these things because they really don't have anything to gain. It's just being annoying for being annoying.
I think you might have missed the sting. When the person stepped in allegedly from Zoom, they might have asked for your credit card details to sort it out possibly as well at some point.
No, they didn't ask for anything. They were just generally being annoyed and then being annoying. And then the guy actually stayed back and watched the rest of the presentation because we kept going in the hopes of then, releasing the recording.
Yeah.
And he even pretended to be a client and then started interfering with the presentation again. So I just kicked him out because I was just like, it's kind of obvious if you're the only one that hasn't been kicked out, right?
Yes.
And it was just such an odd situation. Like, what are you gaining with this? And then we contact Zoom support because they are not supposed to be able to interfere with the presentation, right? Yeah. And Zoom support is just completely oblivious as usual.
I'm not a fan of Zoom. If you come and join us on Monday for our podcasting and live streaming club, I can share out to you StreamYard, which might be a whole lot better. You won't get that sort of interference. I'm on Zoom every Thursday evening, but it's such a Microsoft kind of product. To me, it really is. It just doesn't seem to be geared towards the user. You're having to bow into Zoom and their technology. So I'm sorry to hear that.
And you can do webinars here on the StreamYard.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. There's a webinar feature on it as well. Apparently, I've got a couple of questions for you. The man in this is just a comment from Pete. The man in seat 61 is by far the best way of booking and looking up train journeys. Thanks, Pete. The best in the world at the moment are in China. There you go, Jana. And may I ask a question? Yes, you can, Jackie. But Mr. S was first. I nearly forgot about this. Bless you, Santinish. Bon dia, gata experiente. Is that a literal translation of Savvy Cat, the gata experiente?
I don't think savvy would translate to experience, to experiente. I would probably translated to desenrascada. It's
Oh,
like
really?
finding a way, you know. Sabe
Yes.
is more about figuring things out and doing things in an optimal way.
Yes.
So I would translate more to desenrascada.
Which is a great Portuguese word, isn't it? And a very sort of culturally appropriate
Yes.
word about the Portuguese psychology for sure. Are automatic renewals happening again? Is that your experience?
In what?
I think on visa renewal, on residency renewals. Are you hearing
They,
that?
they say they are going to make them happen with the whole change from the what's the previous service called to
Seth.
IMA
Seth,
to
yeah.
Seth to IMA. It is said that IMA is going to make an automatic renewal system, but it hasn't been made yet.
Okay, all right. That's but so
That's
possibly
very typical Portuguese. Yes.
still on the cards. Still on the cards. Yeah, Mr. S. Sorry, I haven't got better news for you on that. And Jackie's asking you, big fan of yours. May I ask Anna a question, please? Certainly. That's why she's here. If I bought a ruin with a lush garden, can I put a tiny house on the footprint of the old property? Thank you. I'm sure you've been asked this before.
Yeah, you can actually, if there is a previous existing ruin, and this depends a lot on the zoning laws. So it means that if it is like in a reserve area and so on, it's really only possible if there was a pre-existing ruin or property there. If not, you cannot. If it is in a more city environment, it will depend on whether the property is a rural or a mixed plot. A mixed plot will have part of its area designed, designated for urban use, which means you can construct on it.
Mhm.
And the rural part of the plot cannot be constructed on it. And this is defined. So imagine you have like this square rectangle plot. If the urban area is just this slot, you can only build in this slot. You cannot
Okay.
build on this side. You can only build on the area that is designated as urban.
Very good. Okay. Thank you for that. Yes, it's a village. I'm looking at it amongst houses there. And Mr. S is asking for that word. So
Yeah, feel free to book a call with me on my website. You can book a location advisory call with me, and we can look specifically at that property.
there you go, Jackie. And yeah, what was that word again? The desrascansar, I think is the word, isn't it? Could you spell that for us?
Let me see. I think it will go to the private chat, but
yeah, okay. Well, I'll copy that across for you, Mr. S. Ever the student. Danada, man in seat 61 is just awesome and super informative for all the best seats. What a lovely job to have as well. The people in that company exploring all those worldwide rail routes. Okay, there's the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only thing I would also like to mention is that in the last few months of the year, so November, December, and now, there was a very, very drastic increase in rental demand. And like I said, I'm also feeling it in my company. I think a lot of people are like preferring to go on rental and see how things go, and not wanting to make the definite decision of buying property and moving over. And I do think a lot of this is due to the political situation in the US. But I was also looking at the Idealista numbers, because Idealista does tend to be the place where most of the rentals are advertised. And it was really big. It was something like a 40% increase.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And this is on your video, which people can see on your Savvy Cat YouTube channel, right?
It's going to be released at 5 p.m. today.
Oh, very good. Excellent. Okay. Wonderful stuff. Thank you for being here this morning. We're going to go for a little cycle ride with Andy in just a moment. But yeah, wish you a great month. And of course, you'll be back. You are here on the first Friday for 40 whole minutes. None of your 20 minutes.
Next one, I will try to get a guest, since I will have a bit more time to find it.
Yeah, fair enough. But there's always a lot to talk about. Our joint love of Portugal here, passion for Portugal. Thank you, Anna. You've made my day. I have had a call with you, and we'll be contacting you soon for your amazing services. The call was so educational; it was a massive help. Huge thanks to Anna of Savvy Cat there. And let me make sure that the website address is on the screen as well as we go for a little cycle ride. Not so much in the Bairrada anymore, but more in Aveiro. with Andy. Savvy Cat Ana knows Aveiro pretty well too. Thanks a lot to you, muito obrigado. And last night we learnt with Philomena many words, the many ways of saying goodbye in Portuguese, as you can see here. So take your pick on those. And thanks again to you, Anna. All the best until we see you again on the first Friday of February. Até a próxima. See you then. Oh, I'm trying to find my applause button. There it is. And now, cheers, Anna. Thank you. Bye for now. Bon fin de semana to you. Let's go for that cycle ride by way of, moving our way into the weekend. Let's go on a little cycle ride with Andy. Thank you for this, Andy. Turn that disappearing message thing off. It's very confusing. I knew you'd sent me a video and then it wasn't there when I went to get it. Here it is. Bon fin de semana. See you on Monday. And if not, if you're coming to Expats Portugal's meetup in Batalha, I shall see you there.
Here we are, cycling to Barra. Oh, look at that heron. Oh no. Yeah, yes. That's like the salt fans. And that's Luria. That's the motorway. That's Cat Ana Caramujo. And then we're heading off to Barra Beach. Oh, there we go. Ciao, ciao, bye. Just to show, well, you can't really see, but the flamingos are back. This is a new promenade they've built that goes round. We used to have to go into the street. Now they've connected this nice wooden bridge that goes out. The lighthouse. Some people swimming, surfing. We're going up the jetty. There's a trawler coming in. Wavy out there, look. That's looking down towards Barra, crossing over, and then Mirror. You can see where they've cleared the sand off of this walkway further down, and in parts of the main street where it all got blown up in the storms. It's a lovely day, ideal for cycling. Look at that. Excellent. All right then. At the beginning of Costa Nova, that's the marina with all the posh boats on. Leads down to that big boat. You can just make out the mast on it, and that's a restaurant. This is a bit like sandbanks along here, quite expensive houses. There's a lovely cycle path all the way through it. That's a ria on this side, the lagoon. There's all the guys doing their fishing. There's some guys either digging up bait or clams. Do a lot of clam. Oh, that's clams. The way they're going there. They're collecting clams. What is it? Only an hour in the month or something. You've got to collect clams. What are we? February. There you go. Look. And the other side of those houses is a beach. Very nice. Very sandy. Very popular in the summer. It's not as bad now to get down here. At the end of this, that sort of bypass, they put a new roundabout system. And here we are, just coming. This is a river Bocco, and we're just coming into Ilio. The locals don't pronounce the O in Iliovo; they say Ilio. We're going to go through Ilio, and we're going over that direction-ish. To get ourselves back up. Right then. Yeah. Ciao, ciao.